Oh, I could ambush him.
South Africa's president in the Oval Office. To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today. Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate.
How in the fuck could he ambush the president when the president should have known that shit already? So it wasn't no fucking ambush. It's y'all assholes that talk about a fucking ambush.
This was an ambush.
Programming fake fucking news. Talk about ambush.
Diplomatic self this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush. Well, Katie, I mean, it wasn't ambush. Ambush.
Ambush. Ambush.
Ambush. Ambushing.
Ambush. Ambush.
I said, we know what fake news. Fake news. I said, Donald Trump.
The weird part is you're used to, like you said,
Donald Trump revealed fake news because every fucking news station that said that it was an ambush is fake fucking news. Now you know what fake news really is.
they were mad because he literally brought the truth. Like,
Yep.
right to the front
Yep.
door.
Yep.
Get this.
Yep.
They asked Trump the question.
Yep.
Ramaphosa decided to answer it for him.
Yep.
And he said that, hey, basically implied that
It wasn't happening.
there's
It wasn't happening.
genocide
Right.
happening.
Right.
Trump decided
Right.
to just play
Play
the
it.
footage.
See?
Come on, man. Now you see how they try to do this full-blown
The facts.
stinkage type deal.
Over
They
fiction.
keep saying ambush. But what they
Over
really
fiction.
mean is Trump didn't play that game.
The facts was Trump showed
Y'all remember Trump
video.
But this is him confronting him.
Trump
right
showed
to
the
his
facts.
face. This is a clip, a section that we didn't get to.
But the president was saying that the facts wasn't happening. They wasn't having no white genocide.
Which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
And
tell
then
you
when
that.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to
there
them.
is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black.
We have
I'm
now,
saying that Scooter bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed, their heads chopped off, they died violently. And, we're here to talk about it, and we get involved here, but I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But
Yep.
the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the
What you
United
gonna say? I
States
see the
Air
airplane.
Force?
What?
Okay, the United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force.
Stop. Okay. Oh, man. First of all, you see, Trump didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't try to wheel him in all nicely and smooth. And this is what these fragile Americans want. We want to be coddled. They want to, you want to talk like, no. And he didn't even talk to him recklessly.
Y'all like
He just didn't sugarcoat it. He said, yo, you let them take land, and when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens. And you see Ramaphosa, he tried to pivot. He tried to, say some, talking about how crime affects everybody, but Trump still stood firm and pretty much said, hey, it ain't about the stats, it's about the selective outrage we see. Okay? We see people are being targeted, and everybody stands silent.
all
because of
believers
the
are
color
like
of
a
their
bunch of
skin.
children.
That's the
You stuck
problem.
on stupid believing in some nonsense.
And
When the truth is you shouldn't be
left-wing
believing in
media keep
shit.
saying this is all made up. Like, come on, man. Like, receipts.
But we are starting with this white mess. You are cutting the throat of what there is Ghana.
The truth is what it is. Either you know or you don't know. Because if you don't know, you ask questions. You don't believe shit. You ask questions to know shit, not to believe shit.
If you're just looking at the footage, I mean,
Believers don't ask questions.
some receipts, okay?
You ask questions.
In the video, Julius Melma.
You ask questions to know some shit, not to believe some shit.
Kill the farmer, and
You ask questions to know some shit, not understand some shit.
South African administration, boy,
You ask questions to know some shit, not have faith in some shit. You ask questions to know some shit, not to hope for some shit.
But I mean, you don't avoid the truth unless somehow ashamed. And I think Trump flipped the script this time. They want the ones that they want the ones sit back watching. For who had to watch, rather. Hopefully, I get what I was going with that. All right. Now, I want y'all to see this clip that's been going viral on TikTok. It's some real talk, man. It's somebody who actually gets it, okay? Y'all peep this.
It's funny because a lot of y'all keep asking, are you still happy with your vote? You voted for Trump. Are you still happy? Well, if you look at what happened today in the White House, unequivocally, yes. So the South African president was sat down with the president of the United States, Donald Trump, and they were talking about trade and all that. And Donald Trump was like, y'all got to stop this genocide that's happening to white folk in South Africa, which is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy tries to deny it. They try to say that that's not happening. And then Trump, who's on a TV, and shows him his own government calling for the extermination of white folk. That is a boss move if I've ever seen one. So, yes, this is exactly what we voted for. We want fairness for everybody. It's not right that white people are being attacked in South Africa. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make up for evil with more evil. And I'm proud to say I voted for this man 3 times.
The truth makes sense for true change. Because once you go back to using common sense, shit will change. Literally. Literally.
That's move.
Because the make-believe nonsense.
Perfect. And also, like how he said that we want fairness for everybody because you can't fix evil with evil, I think he said. And that's straight facts. You can't fight
Because the make-believe nonsense stops you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with. The truth.
That's just not how this works, okay? But the media continues to ignore genocide. And they want to focus on the airplane.
Trump calling out the South African president in real time in front of the media is exactly why we put him in office. And what's really disturbing is the fact that NBC sat there, listened to everything, watched the video, and was like, hey, what about the airplane, though?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, what about the airplane? Like, your guy's the one who negotiated for the airplane.
Nah.
We're just taking delivery of it.
Thank
You
you.
didn't have a problem with it then.
Nah.
Media, it's unfortunate because media is so far gone. The only people still listening to it are my grandparents. You know what I mean? And it's sad because inevitably this app will probably go by the wayside. It's already getting nerfed left and right. It's definitely not what it was. But good God, man, like have a pair to talk about the elephant in the room. Like the South African government is outright calling for the almost the extinction and the slaughter of a race of people just because of the color of their skin. And you want to worry about an airplane?
You believers can't handle the truth. You believers like being lied to.
NBC literally sat there through all that tension. They watched the footage. They seen the evidence, the history. And when all it was over, hey, Mr. President, what about the airplane?
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America. Like the people who keep this country moving. For them, only America.
Now that shit, shut up.
You can't make this up. You can't make this type of stuff up. He just showed you clips of their leaders calling for death, and you want to talk about a luxury jet, bro? This is the place nowhere that we've come to. Man, legacy media is so out of touch. Get out of touch. They out of their minds, bro. Y'all think I'm playing? Watch them sit here trying to defend it. CNN anchor explains the chant, "Kill the board," as symbolic. There they go. Trying to play cleanup, y'all.
Explaining that this is not true. What the video showed is Julius Malema, the far left opposition leader of South Africa. His party is called the Economic Freedom Fighters, and it also showed former President Jacob Zuma. What Julius Malema was singing, "Kill the board, kill the farmer," was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal attack, call to attack and kill the farmer, because of the historical nature of that. But it's been weaponized by groups in South Africa and increasingly by the MAGA right in the United States to essentially misrepresent what is going on in the country, Boris, Brianna.
It also of note, Larry, can you
Explain.
Man, this is just BS. Now, I won't say act like I know all the history of South Africa and everything. You know, I don't know. But that was just the. You say
Believers.
The boy is symbolic. I think he said it's a part of the anti-apartheid struggle. But let's just be real. Let's just be real transparent for a second, okay? Let's just put it on the even playing field. If anybody else says something that extreme, that wouldn't be a symbolic pass to get it. Ain't nobody going, oh, no. There'll be literal riots. Press conferences. But because it's targeted whites, South Africans, it's poetry.
The truth is, that's what the Americans afraid that we would do to them.
So with us, it's genocide.
They're afraid that black
If
people
it's
will
them,
rise
it's
up
poetry.
and put them bitches in slavery.
That's not how it works, man. We're going to call it for what it is. That's not how it works. We're going to read a few of these comments, though. What an absolute clown show. CNN is a failed media hub for the loony left. James Earl Jones used to speak the name strongly. Now it's Dylan Mulvaney or some other poster child of the progressive left. And they're squilling voice saying this is CNN. White South Africans yelling victim as the majority of the country. What? That's quite literally impossible unless the minority hold control and power over the minority. What? They are delusional and definitely know it's happening while trying to claim we are misinterpreting their actual words. Fake news does nothing but lie and cover up criminal behavior. I don't understand, man. I honestly feel like the level of delusion on the left should be studied. Seriously, I mean, look at these words. Final words from
Somebody should be studied. Don't forget you was on that side one time
he
too.
did not hold back whatsoever. A CNN panelist tried to dismiss concerns that white African farmers
Just don't
in South
forget you was on
Africa
the
are being
side too.
targeted, despite the footage.
I think the South African president initially came to the meeting, and you actually saw him try to extend some olive branches. He tried to direct the conversation to trade, to critical minerals. He brought golfers that he knew the president would listen to, if not
You have to
listen
remember that you
to,
was
his
stuck on
delegation
stupid
that
at one
was
time
presented
too.
there. And then when a reporter did ask about these false claims of white genocide, you also
You was just
saw
like a
him try
lot
to
of these
explain the
Democrats, because
reality
you was a
on the
Democrat
ground
at
in his
one time
country
too.
that President Trump then dismissed. You saw him basically say, and that the data backs this up. Police statistics in South Africa do show that on the subject of killings, there are not mass killings of white South Africans in South Africa. There have been gruesome killings of white farmers, individual cases of that. But it's
I'm saying, you just watched the video. I just seen the video. Trump played a video of at least 1,000 or around 1,000. I can hundreds
That nigga flat top got his teeth.
of
It's a
dead
great
people, family members, or farmers of the farm. I mean, farmers or family members of.
That nigga flat top got his hands big.
This lighter is completely waterproof, windproof, and can start a fire in a fraction of a
I
second.
ain't ask you all that, yo. I don't hear about no motherfucking light. I want to hear about the rest of this shit, yo.
Systemic, the police data shows right now that white South Africans are not killed at a higher rate than any other South African. There is a broad crime problem in South Africa that is very different than a claim of genocide.
Boy, your flat
Then
top
there's
is too
issue of
fucking
land.
tight for your
Well,
brain.
under apartheid,
So it's flattening
you
your
know,
brain out like a
that
pancake.
apartheid-led government made it
You
very,
can't
very
think.
difficult, almost impossible for black people to own farmland. So now you've seen this law passed
You can't
earlier
think
this year by the South African government that yes
for yourself.
would
For yourself.
take land, but it's subject to judicial review as well. And it has to be in the public interest. So there's a lengthy process. It's not just like you're confiscating land as well. That nuance also has not been articulated by President Trump here. So you have these two issues, these two false claims, and this meeting, in a way, was the culmination of, for years now, these lobbyists of these Afrikaner groups have been traveling to Washington, talking to Republicans, also talking to this White House. This White House that has given them time, actually told us in the piece, described them as civil rights leaders as well. And you're seeing the culmination of that lobbying campaign and the amplifying of these false descriptions of the reality on the ground in this country.
Okay, y'all. He was able to get what he needed to say out. He broke the train for a little while. But watch. Listen to what Scott Jennings had to say. He did not hold back.
It's not.
Well, look, whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white farmers in South Africa have been murdered. A lot of people have tried to cover this up. A lot of people in, I think, media in the United States have tried to cover it up. Obviously, the South African government doesn't want to talk about it, so it was kind of a boss move for Donald Trump to roll that television in there today. And I think even the agriculture minister in the Oval Office confirmed that these people are, in fact, being murdered. So my question is, if it's not a genocide today, how many do you want to let get murdered so that people around here can be satisfied? Okay, now it's a genocide. Let's let a few more. I don't understand. We're talking about 50-something people they were trying to let in. Everybody was losing their mind after we let in 20 million illegal immigrants over the last several years. The president is trying to prevent genocide from happening any further to these people. They are clearly being discriminated against. Some have been murdered. This was an interesting spectacle in the Oval Office today, but it had to happen because I don't think anybody was telling the truth about it.
It had to happen. It had to happen. It had to happen. What the fuck you talking about, amen to that? You always saying amen to shit. You still stuck on stupid with that same bullshit that you was in already.
Need to die.
Y'all niggas got these big old fucking channels with all these people watching, and y'all steady talking stupid fucking shit still.
Like this, you know, Andre saying enough. Why isn't the line moving?
Amen to that. Fucked up. Amen. Bullshit.
No. Why is the finish line, or no? I guess I'm saying it right. Why is the line always moving when it comes to white people? Trump called it out. They didn't like it.
Why do the line always move when you're not using common sense? That's the reason why the line always moving. Because when you use, that's the reason why the line is always moving. Because if you're using common sense,
thank y'all.
The line stays neutral one way all day, every day. Period.
Attention all seniors, you can now get up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, including your credit card debt, with no medical exam, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-211-3768 now.
Clint, so good to see you. How was everything?
Amazing as usual, Frank. Happy.
Press cross to select. To skip forward, press the right button. To skip backward, press the left button.
And then the majority of the Senate, the compliant House, because she without ever going to court, without following my camera, protecting the constitutional requirements. I'll conclude with two things. First, precedent is you're talking about saying this was not a rule. Please don't
That's
call
black
it precedent.
girlfriend.
With the point that this was not a rule that actually is illegal for you to do. The only thing precedent is about what Gail said and what the parliamentarian said was the fact that this rule breaking by EPA, that was unprecedented. Again, under the 31 labor determination, over half a century, only regions had waivers. All the score was 131 0. With the Trump administration blocking for fossil fuels, decides that all of that is wrong. So there's actually just a waiver, even though there was no EPA rulemaking, even though none of the steps that lead to a regulation under the Congressional Review Act were undertaken. They just filed the federal register, sent it over to the bench. Exactly. Filed the federal register, sent it over to the bench. It's over here, kicked around with the political football. That's Johnson, that's my journalism, that's regular order, none of it. That is all regular order. And the only reason this was unprecedented is because we had the third. We do not want your regular fucking order. Your regular fucking order is out of fucking order. That's why everything is fucked up right now, because of you. Because of the politics, that just got shoved through here. Because of the power response to administration, that just got shoved through here. This is part of a campaign of the Trump administration to pretend that climate change isn't real, to ignore the immediate threats that are moving over of climate change. Man, shut the fuck up, bitch. Trying to make us pay for fucking breathe. Fucking climate change bullshit. And now, sure enough, giving him everything he wants. And this is one of those cases. It's breaking of the Senate rules.
Do not drink cold water if you want to normalize the size of your prostate. Maybe you don't know this, but the biological reason why people struggle with prostate enlargement has
Accusations about former President Biden's health decline come to light. Republicans in Congress are accusing the White House of a huge cover-up. Now, Texas Senator John Cornyn is demanding the DOJ investigate whether
I don't want
his inner circle.
I don't want nobody to talk about nothing but the cover up, because somebody have to be held accountable for all the lies. I'm tired of all
broke any laws.
I'm tired of all the fucking lies. Are you tired of the fucking lies? I don't know if you're tired of the lies, but I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired.
Representing his physical and mental fitness, writing in part, I fear the American people were deliberately misled about President Biden's health. I do not have confidence in the former president's aides and staff, including medical staff, or their ability to be honest and
All your Democrat rats need to be fired. They're liars. They knew what was going on with Joe Biden, but no one spoke up. They all was in on the cover up. They all need to be fired.
straightforward. Senator John Cornyn with us now. Senator, you raised some very good questions about whether those are.
We don't know who was running the White House, because it wasn't Joe Biden.
Around him should face any consequences for this. Is there a law or is there a rule that says that they owe as much to the American public as they do to the boss they're carrying out orders for?
Because of what happened, Donald Trump should be able to become president for another 4 fucking years.
Well, that's what this
By default, them liars lied to us.
investigation is all about.
By default, they should lose Joe Biden's whole presidency and give it to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump will have 4 more fucking years to clean up this fucking shit that Joe Biden and these liars.
Is to determine whether any laws were broken. We know that the Biden administration basically misled and deceived the American people about the president's competency. And here again, we're talking about the leader of the free world, the commander in chief. This is a national security issue. And to have a completely dysfunctional president, as apparently President Biden appeared to be, and now with the latest revelations of his other health issues, from the American people, this is something that needs to be investigated. That's the reason for the letter. And I look forward to getting the results from the Attorney General and the FBI.
Yeah, the FBI, that'll be interesting. You know, you guys have been following this, we've been following this, but it seems like much of the rest of the Washington press is just now waking up to this issue. There are a series of headlines: Washington Times op-ed, America's Missing President, National Review, damning portrait of Joe Biden's loyal inner circle.
I wouldn't look at no other news but Fox News. Fuck the other news.
Washington Post editorial.
Show them bitches stuff. They've been lying this long, they don't need nobody watching.
Should have been informed. But at the same time, you know, much of what was in this book was stuff that was happening right before our eyes. I think one passage that did stand out to me, though, was this section about the lengths that they went to conceal Beau Biden's brain cancer and the decision to actively mislead the public about it, telling folks while he was Attorney General that he had a clean bill of health, saying he had a small lesion removed from his brain, turns out the size of a golf ball, and then Biden tells people when he's vice president he's going to Delaware when in fact he's going to Houston to visit Beau for treatment. What does that tell you about just how easily they could lie about this stuff?
Well, this is really an indictment of the mainstream media.
Man, fuck all the bullshit. You could never trust a fucking liar.
Well, for many years,
we have the police that can lie to you.
And Democrats.
You have the FBI that can lie to you.
Are now.
You got the CDC that can lie to you.
Reeling.
You got the FDA that can lie to you. My question is, what the fuck do we look like paying fucking liars money? We're actually paying liars a salary to lie to us.
Having to deal with the consequences of their lies for so many years because basically they told the rest of America.
Us, the taxpayers.
Don't believe your lying eyes. We knew that President Biden was having some cognitive dysfunction. It became most apparent during the debate.
I want to know, when are we going to stand up and demand that liars be fired?
With President Trump, and then of course Kamala Harris was, without any vote of the Democratic primary voters, installed as the nominee. This was essentially a coup based by the Democratic Party, based on their own failure to deal with the president's cognitive disabilities for many, many years. So the birds have finally come home to roost.
After this cover up, you would have to be an asshole to trust a fucking Democrat rat. You'd have to be an asshole to trust any fucking liar.
And one last piece here, you know, the former First Lady is also coming into focus with this. I want to play for you what a DC journalist said about an interaction that she had.
Question is, are we assholes? Because you got to be assholes to trust a fucking liar. 11-11. I see you, love. I feel your love, too. I feel your love. I'm sweating with it, baby. I got you, baby. I got you, because you got me first. You got me first. And I got you all the rest of the numbers. You them bitches don't know theirs. Dumbass fuckers.
I just think it was a terrible disservice to the country. She wasn't protecting him from herself. I thought it was just elder abuse, really.
Sally Quinn went on to say that she shared those thoughts with Jill Biden. Is she going to be on the list, Jill Biden, the former First Lady, of people that you want to get information out of? Who is on your list?
Well, you can't get away with this without co-conspirators, and certainly President Biden's family did not do him any favors by pretending that he was just fine and that there were no changes. So I expect the investigation to be thorough. No one is going to be excused, and family members, I would expect, would be part of that investigation.
Senator John Cornyn, thank you very much. We will be following all that. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
Everybody involved in the cover-up needs to be fired. Because the truth is the truth. You can never trust a liar. Never.
How in the fuck could he ambush the president when the president should have known that shit already? So it wasn't no fucking ambush. It's y'all assholes that talk about a fucking ambush. Program and fake fucking news talk about ambush.
With the former FBI director, James Comey.
I did. I just saw it in the news.
Yeah, it's
Donald Trump revealed fake news because every fucking news station that said that it was an ambush is fake fucking news. Now you know what fake news really is.
Congressman Byron Donalds, Republican from Florida, joins me now. Congressman, the bill's passed. We know there have been some holdouts. Is it Trump's influence that pushed this over the line?
Yes, at the end of the day, the president weighed in and talked with members about how critical it was to get this moved along. And look, let me take a step back. There's been a ton of work on this bill over months. Members have been negotiating with good faith, regardless of what caucus you might be a part of, Main Street Freedom Caucus. Everybody's been negotiating in good faith with House leadership, with the White House. It's all team effort here. The president is the one that pushes over the line at the end of the day. And now we see what the Senate's going to do with this. And we're going to make America great again.
Is there a plan to primary your two colleagues who did not vote for the bill? They voted no. Two of them.
I don't think so. I think it's very premature on that. I think even if you talk to Warren and to Thomas, what they are looking for is similar to what Senator Marshall was saying, doing more about long-term deficits and long-term debt. Look.
Capital, legal, switch the board. Done. Upload. Play.
Wow. The caption reads, I will always be committed to doing my job for the people of New Jersey, and I won't be intimidated. Chelsea's community note. Hold on, let me put it on the big screen. Chelsea. And to my older people who don't like me saying cap. This video is digitally altered. Note the jump cut at the 7-second mark. Okay, let's see if we can catch it, y'all.
Congresswoman, you are now facing a federal charge, though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now? I mean, it's super unfortunate, Kate, that we have come to this point, in America, that this is what we see happening to.
What is going on with my computer today, y'all? I'm sorry that y'all have to deal with it. Like, I ain't trying to be all unprofessional and none of that. My bad. We're going to take it back.
Unfortunate, Kate, that we have come to this point.
Union entitlements rule. Ban God in school. Smack for junkies. Welfare for flunkies. I'm just scared too much.
Intimidation, and I will not be intimidated. I expect to continue to do my job. Once again, very unfortunate situation that happened when I came to Congress in September.
Everyone get back to work! What the hell is this? Get back to work!
With anything, once again, I committed to doing my job. I represent and I stick to that because those are the people who sit here in Congress in the first place.
So this is a lot.
Safety first! Hey, fellas!
Okay.
What's going on here?
Oh, whipping and rage!
Thank God you're here!
We're being oppressed by an evil corporation!
Our bosses want us to actually work!
turns out
They'll
that it's
guarantee
fake.
us 200% raises!
Altered,
Summer Fridays off and pensions for
digitally
life
edited
after
according
retiring at
to this
37.
video.
Why? That's
Video.
outrageous!
They said it was taken from a February UNC farm,
They want
and the
free
footage
snacks,
is from
massages,
that.
and raises every year. And
They
most of them
spliced
go on
together to make it
disability
look
with
like she
full
was
pay
responding
anyway.
to the ISIS
Revolting Sizzlers, you!
They're trying to fire me for sleeping at my desk.
You were drunk! Well, you would be too. He's just deadening the pain inside from being trapped as a mediocre cog in the dead-end machine of...
$25,000 final expense
He's the CFO! I said American workers should be able to retire at age 35 and receive health care! And a salary for life on your dime. Otherwise, what's the point? That's impossible. That's not how economics work, don't you understand? I'm extremely rich.
Basically
I
total fraud.
understand how economics
That
work
is the case.
and
That
what
is
the
not a
working
defense.
class needs.
That is
They
not.
want a six-pack of
Now, Nancy
an
Bates
eager
filed an
girl in their
official
pickup truck
resolution to
and a
expel the
depressing
driver
folk tune playing on the
from the House of
radio.
Representatives. She
This
said
here's
just
a
filed
free
an official
country,
resolution.
boy. Free, but
And
with
no one's broken
thousands
law.
of rules
Assault is a
and
crime that the people
regulations
deserve
to
better
keep
not.
greedy
100% agree.
corporations like you in line.
It says,
If you don't like it, move to China. But because of the free trade agreement, that's why we'll have to move the
He
company
wasn't
if
on
you
the
want to go
stand
out of
as a
business.
celebrity.
We just
He
wanna
was
set
there
the
as a
rules.
man who'd seen too much and said too little. And when he began to speak, the courtroom wasn't prepared for what they would hear. Because what Will revealed about Diddy, the parties, the manipulation, and the fear wasn't just explosive, it was a warning. It started like any other day of the Diddy trial. The room buzzed with low conversations, the press hunched in their designated rows, and lawyers whispered strategies as they waited for the next scheduled witness. But when the side doors opened and Will Smith stepped into the courtroom alone, no entourage, no legal team, no announcement, the room changed. You could hear a pin drop. Some people thought it was a mistake. Others thought it was a stunt. But the way Will walked, slow, focused, with that old Fresh Prince stoicism, melted away into something more raw, told everyone this was real. The judge raised an eyebrow, and Diddy, who'd been smugly lounging at the defense table, suddenly looked tense. Will walked straight to the witness stand. No eye contact with anyone. He didn't even glance at Diddy. "I wasn't asked to come here today," Will began. "I asked if I could speak." The judge allowed it. And from that moment on, the entire trial shifted. Because what Will Smith was about to say wasn't part of any media.
Well, Will Smith was covering his ass. Will Smith was covering his ass. Will Smith was covering his ass.
Party no one was supposed to talk about. I've kept a lot inside.
Will
for a long
Smith
time.
was covering his
I've left on
ass.
red carpets. I've won awards. I've made movies about honor and strength. But none of that can hide what I saw, what I experienced, and who made it happen. He turned just slightly toward Diddy. "You did." Will Smith told the courtroom that it started like many Hollywood stories do, with an invitation. It came through mutual contact. Someone had worked with before. The way they framed it, it was supposed to be a celebration.
Denial.
Just music, networking, a place where stars could unwind. I'd been to things like that before, so I didn't question it. But the moment Will arrived, he knew something was off. It was at this massive...
I don't need no commercial. I don't need no commercial, bitch. Shut up.
Will arrived, he knew something was off. It was at this massive mansion in the hills. Black SUVs at the front, security everywhere. The second I stepped inside, my phone was taken. That should have been the first red flag. They said it was for privacy, to protect the guests. But it felt like something else, like they didn't want anything getting out. He was ushered inside. The lights were dim, the music low and strange, ambient, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. There were no cameras you could see, but there were mirrors everywhere. It felt like someone was always watching. Will said that after a few drinks and some casual conversation, Diddy approached him directly. He said something like, "Now you're part of the family," and he smiled. That smile, it wasn't warmth, it was ownership. Will said he followed Diddy into a back room, thinking they were going to talk business. Instead, what he saw shook him to the core. There were people performing, men, women. Some I recognized from film and music. Some looked young, too young. There were others watching, like it was entertainment. And Diddy, he was laughing, like it was the most normal thing in the world. He paused, swallowing hard. I didn't know how to leave, and that was the point. Once you're in, you're in. Will continued, his voice steady but hollow. A few days after the party, I got a call. Blocked number. All the voice said was, "Hope you had fun, Fresh Prince. Then hung up. He thought it was just a weird prank. It was unmarked. Inside was a flash drive. I almost didn't look, but I did. It was footage from that night of me sitting on a couch, clearly out of it. I don't remember being that out of it, but there I was, laughing at something I couldn't even remember. There was a voice behind the camera, Diddy's voice, saying, "That's how we keep him." Will testified that the fear he felt in that moment was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. I realized I wasn't invited to that party. I was initiated. He said that's when the manipulation began. I'd get invites to more parties. I declined. Then suddenly, movie roles I was in talks for, gone. People I worked with for years stopped calling. Rumors started online that I was gay, that I was unstable, that I was cheating. I knew what it was. It was pressure. Diddy didn't need to say it. He just made it clear that silence was the cost of peace. And so, for years, Will said nothing. He smiled through interviews, brushed off rumors, focused on work. But every time I saw a news story about someone else speaking out, Cassie, Don Richard, even Meek Mill's name being dragged into this, I thought, they're speaking. Why am I still quiet? He looked around the courtroom. Diddy didn't just ruin people's careers, he made them fear telling the truth. And that, Will said, was what finally brought him to court. Will paused, glanced at the jury, and leaned closer to the mic. It wasn't just a video. That was the leash. He said from that moment on, everything he did felt like it had strings attached to it. He explained that calls would come through his agent, invitations to events, meetings, projects. When he said no, things would shift behind the scenes. I'd say no to a Diddy event, and the next week I'd find out a greenlit project suddenly wasn't greenlit anymore. He said this didn't happen once or twice. It became a pattern. Diddy didn't have to threaten people. He had systems that did it for him. PR people, bloggers, producers. He knew who to call. He knew how to make problems appear out of thin air, and how to make opportunities vanish just as that. Will testified about one specific instance in 2013. Had been lined up for a major international campaign with a top luxury brand. We were in final negotiation. I'd already shot the first lookbook. Then, out of nowhere, they dropped me. I never got a reason. But 2 weeks later, I was invited to another big event. When I declined again, the phone calls started. Gossip blogs posting stories about me that were oddly specific. Stuff only someone with access could have planted. He said it was psychological warfare. You start to feel like you're crazy, like you're paranoid, but then you see it, the patterns, the punishments. You realize you're not imagining it. You're being boxed in. Will told the court he knew other celebrities going through similar things. Some of them are sitting silent right now. Some of them have contracts that won't let them speak. Some of them are scared they'll be exposed the same way. Then he turned toward Diddy and said plainly, "You didn't just collect people, you controlled them." And everyone knew exactly what he meant. Will didn't stop at the manipulation. He explained how Diddy's grip wasn't just over artists, it stretched into Hollywood's entire foundation. You couldn't walk onto a major stage without brushing shoulders with someone he helped put there. Will said he once attended a charity gala in 2016, where, behind the scenes, high-powered figures from music, film, politics, and tech were all thanking Puff as if he was the glue holding the whole thing together. I watched one executive from a...
This is not a scam. The health allowance card is available for those on Medicare. This card can be worth thousands of dollars a year that can be used at your favorite supermarket for growth.
I watched one executive from a streaming platform hand him a USB drive and whispered, "Only you have the final cut." Will didn't say what was on the drive, but he said it confirmed what he feared. Diddy wasn't just networking, he was gatekeeping. He described moments where he saw other actors, rappers, and public figures behave oddly submissive around Diddy, like they were trying to stay in his good graces, laughing too hard, deferring to him in every conversation. I realized a lot of people weren't his friends, they were his survivors. He testified that one reason he stayed silent so long was because he thought speaking out would blackball him permanently. But then I realized I'd already been blackballed quietly. No official blackouts, just whispers, doubt, and doors closing. He said the only reason he stayed relevant at all was because his audience, the public, wouldn't let him disappear. That's the part Puff didn't control. He explained how, over time, he began to see things differently. He started revisiting old footage, photos from events, after parties, press junkets, realizing how often Diddy's influence loomed behind the scenes. He was always there, if not in person, then in power. And then, Will said, came the moment that changed everything. Will's voice dropped to a quieter, deeper tone. I stayed quiet for 20 years. I convinced myself it wasn't happening, or that it wasn't happening to me. But then, the audio started to surface. He said the first time he heard about secret audio tapes being played in court, he didn't believe it. Then I got a call, not from the prosecution, not from a journalist, from someone I used to trust. They said, Will, you're on one of those tapes. They played it yesterday. People are talking. He described feeling like the floor had dropped from under him. I didn't even know a tape like that existed, but once I accepted it might be real, everything else started to connect. Will said he stayed up all night, replaying memories. The party, the blackout, the envelope, the blocked numbers. It was all a system, and I was one of the victims. He said the breaking point wasn't fear, it was humiliation. I realized that if I didn't speak now, my silence would become my legacy, and I couldn't live with that. My kids are going to see these headlines. My grandkids might see them. I had to speak.
You're right, G.
He called the prosecution team himself. I told them, I'm ready. Whatever you need, whatever questions you have, I'll answer them. He looked at the jury. I wasn't just coerced. I was played. I was filmed, and I was used. Then he looked at Diddy again, this time with a sharper tone. And you knew exactly what you were doing. Will closed his eyes for a moment before speaking again, as if preparing to relive something he had fought to forget. When the prosecution asked if I wanted to hear the audio, I hesitated, he said, but I knew I had to. They played it behind closed doors. No press, no jury, just the judge, the lawyers, and Will.
Wow!
I heard myself laughing. Will said slowly, it was hollow. It wasn't real. I sounded drunk. No, drugged. He described the background of the audio. Slow music, low voices, the occasional cheer or shout. Then I heard Diddy, clear as day, saying something like, that's how we break them in. And then I heard my name. They were saying my name while doing things I don't even want to repeat.
Wow.
It wasn't just humiliating. It was horrifying. There was a difference between being embarrassed and being stripped of your humanity. That tape, it took something from me. Will's voice cracked for the first time. He looked down, collecting himself, and then continued, I never consented to being recorded. I never agreed to be a part of that. But Diddy recorded it. He kept it, maybe to use, maybe just to have. He explained how, for years, he couldn't figure out why he would feel sudden anxiety when certain names were mentioned. Why he had panic attacks during simple interview. Now I know. It's because I wasn't crazy. I was remembering something I didn't want to remember. Will said that hearing the audio forced him to confront everything. The manipulation, the grooming, the betrayal from people who stood by and watched. And he said what shook him most wasn't what he heard. It was what I didn't remember. He looked at the jury and said, if you want to know how powerful Diddy is, ask yourself how someone like me could be silenced for 20 years and not even realize it. By the time Will's testimony hit the media, it was too late for Hollywood to do damage control. The clips from court were viral before the bailiff could even call reset. Hashtags exploded. Our Will Speaks, our Freak Off tape, our Diddy file. And for the first time, the public saw Will not as a polished A-lister, but as a survivor. Will said, I knew once
how can I help?
It would get ugly, but I didn't
Coming up.
Fast. He recounted how within 24 hours of testifying, he lost 2 pending brand endorsements. Another studio halted promotion for a film he had already shot, but he said it didn't matter, because I'd already lost something more valuable years ago.
Wow.
To give hope to America after they were trying to ruin us, his first act of God, is to give Americans on lost something more valuable years ago. My voice. He said the calls started rolling in. Quiet one, texts from actors, producers, even directors. Some of them thanking him, others warning him. One said, you don't know who you just declared war on. Another said, you've made yourself radioactive. Will mentioned a few names without full detail, citing legal reasons, but nodded when the prosecution asked about people like Kevin Hart, Meek Mill, and Lucian Grange. This isn't just a Diddy problem. It's an industry built on silence, and everyone's been trading in that currency. He also said he believed others had dirt on him. I know after this, more footage might come out. They'll try to paint me as unstable, as broken. Let them. I'm not here to protect myself anymore. I'm here to protect the truth. He told the court he expected backlash, expected denials, and expected Diddy's legal team to claim he was making it all up. They'll say I'm bitter. They'll say I'm covering something. But I ask you this. If I was lying, why did I wait this long? Why now, when I have more to lose than ever? He ended that part of the testimony with a line that silenced the room. Sometimes the truth comes late, but it still hits like thunder. For his final statement, the judge allowed Will to speak directly to Diddy. He stood from the witness chair, walked a few feet closer, and looked him in the eye. You built an empire out of manipulation, he began. You called it success. You called it culture. You called it love. But all you built was fear. Diddy didn't respond. He sat there, motionless, his lawyer whispering in his ear. Will didn't blink. I saw what you did to those girls. I saw what you did to me. I heard the things you said about me when you thought I wasn't listening. You broke people for sport. Then Will pulled something from his pocket. An old photo. This was me in 2004, right before the first party. That's the man I used to be. He held it up to the court. I haven't seen him in years. Will turned to the jury. If you think this is just about Cassie, or me, or one night in some mansion, you're not seeing the whole picture. This is about a network of power designed to silence truth. And if we don't tear it down, it will keep going. Then he faced Diddy one last time. You once said nobody parties like Diddy. Well, nobody lies like you either. He walked back to the stand, picked up his things, and exited the courtroom without looking back. And Diddy? He sat there, pale, unblinking, his fingers shaking. Because for the first time in decades, he wasn't the one controlling the room. When Will Smith stepped down from the witness stand, he didn't look like a man who had won anything. He looked like someone who had finally stopped running. The courtroom was still tense, almost unsure how to breathe again. Even the judge looked shaken. Some of the jurors had tears in their eyes. And Diddy, for the first time in the entire trial, looked like he had nothing left to say. Will didn't speak to the press when he exited. He didn't wave, didn't posture. He walked out the front of the courthouse with his head held high, but his shoulders carried the weight of 20 years of trauma. When asked later by reporters if he felt relieved, he reportedly responded, "Relief isn't the right word. It's just finished." But outside the courtroom, the world was only beginning to react. Hollywood went into a quiet panic. Executives canceled meetings. Agencies paused deals. Directors and producers who had once celebrated Will Smith suddenly found their phones ringing with questions. The same people who once said, "He's family," were now issuing boilerplate statements of deep concern and commitment to truth. Behind closed doors, crisis teams were activated. PR firms sent internal memos urging clients to distance publicly from any past associations with Mr. Combs. And while many tried to pretend they were shocked, the internet was already doing what it does best, resurfacing the receipts. Old clips of Diddy brushing shoulders with top-tier names, parties where everyone looked too uncomfortable to be just partying, interviews where guests danced around uncomfortable questions, footage of Will, years ago, being interviewed and visibly recoiling when Diddy's name came up, and most painfully, dozens of clips from the Fresh Prince era, where fans now say Will looked like he was smiling through something. Fans weren't just shocked. They were furious. Furious that someone like Will had to carry this alone. Furious that for years the whispers were called conspiracy. And furious that the system had stayed quiet for so long. But Will didn't stay in hiding. The day after his testimony, he posted a single message online. A black and white photo of himself as a young actor in 1993, standing on a film set, smiling into the sun. The caption read, "He didn't know what was coming, but he made it through. I'm proud of him." No hashtags, no name drops, just that. The response was instant. Millions of shared, tens of thousands of comments, celebrities, activists, and everyday people thanking him for his courage. More than anything, survivors of abuse, men especially, flooded the post with their own confession. "You gave us a voice," one wrote. "If Will can speak, so can we." Meanwhile, back inside the court, Diddy's team scrambled. Rumors swirled that more subpoenas were going out, not just to musicians and assistants, but to executives at labels, distribution companies, even even media conglomerates. What Will's testimony had done wasn't just personal, it had cracked the dam. And now, the flood was coming. Whispers said more tapes existed, not just audio, but visual footage, some of them featuring other public figures. The court sealed these for now, but according to insiders, if any of them leak, it would flip the industry upside down. And Will? He didn't return to work right away. He declined interviews. He canceled appearances, but he wasn't hiding. Insiders say he's been spending time with his kids, focused on rebuilding what matters. One friend told Variety, anonymously, he's healing now. For the first time in years, he's not pretending. Before court adjourned that day, the judge made a statement that caught even the media off guard. What we heard today was not just testimony, it was a reckoning, and this court acknowledges the courage it took to deliver it. The final shot of the day wasn't of Diddy. It wasn't even Will. It was of the jury, sitting motionless, processing everything they'd just heard. And in that silence, one thing was clear. The era of silence was over.
Are you getting SSDI or disability benefits right now? You should listen closely to this message. People
Hold on. Hold on, y'all come. Thank you.